time on the hit list, 9 one-name wonders who like to keep the introductions short and sweet. The soul singer, known to her friends and fans simply as Duffy, was the first Welsh female in 25 years to reach the top of the British singles charts. She broke the quarter-century drought with Mercy, the second single taken from her debut album Rock Ferry, which went on to win Album of the Year at the 2009 Brit Awards. Duffy also carried off the awards for Best Breakthrough Act and Best Female, making her the biggest winner. An incredible achievement for the 24-year-old from Bangor, who'd been asked to leave her school choir because her voice was too big and she didn't fit in. Her early musical influences came from watching her father's videos of the 1960s rock show Ready, Steady, Go, which goes a long way towards explaining her retro sound and big hairdo. She's the first to admit that growing up in a small Welsh town didn't prepare her for a career in the music industry.
Coming from Wales, you don't really know that the Grammys exist. You know, you don't know that anything really exists when you come from a rural part of the world. You know, we didn't have a record store in my town. We didn't have a cinema. We didn't have any clothes shops. Nothing. So I can excuse myself in saying I was still learning about other things in life.
In fact, her upbringing was so sheltered that she'd never even heard of the Grammys. But upon picking up 3 nominations for Rock Ferry, she'd got a bit more of an idea.
I think the Grammy Awards itself is probably about 10 hours longer than the Brits. The Brit Awards are in the evening, so normally alcohol-fueled. This is what my understanding is anyway. Despite
the amazing success, which saw Rock Ferry become the biggest-selling British album of 2008, earning her approximately £4 million, Duffy claims to be rather unimpressed by all the fanfare. In fact, she's been quoted as saying that the pressure of fame brought her to the borderline of a nervous breakdown and made her consider becoming a recluse. Thankfully for her fans, she decided against it, and in early 2009 began working on a second album with ex-Suede guitarist Bernard Butler.
This last year, the 3 years before that I was writing my first record, I think I was thinking about my second. I was like, that's for the second record. You know, I just had a sense, that each and everything was a chapter. So the second chapter has already begun.
Timothy Zachary Mosley is better known as producer and musician Timbaland, named after the brand of construction boots favoured by hip-hop artists in the 1990s. He worked his way up from being a DJ in Virginia to becoming one of hip-hop's most innovative and respected producers, thanks to his collaborations with the likes of Missy Elliott, Snoop Dogg, Nas and Nelly Furtado. One of his most fruitful partnerships has been with Justin Timberlake. As well as co-producing much of Justin's debut solo album Justified, he also co-wrote the smash Cry Me a River. He was up front and centre again, helping Justin bring sexy back on his follow-up album, Future Love Sex Sounds.
Justin just took it back to the old school. Kind of like bringing the 80s back, but with the funk, like with Queen, Ron Stewart, like that kind of way. Not Michael Jackson. Everybody was go the Michael Jackson route, but I didn't go the Michael Jackson route. I went the 80s route of like the soul, like not hip hop, but like, you know, Queen, Another One Bites the Dust.
And Timbaland called in the favor later in the year when he started working on his own second solo album, Shock Value.
Having Justin input, he was already still hyped from the Future Sex Love, and I feel like he didn't get a lot out because only 12 songs. Yeah. So he had more to get out, but we know how to cut it short. So I said, you might as well come in and be like a producer with me on this album and give your input, and I'll just take it from there.
But in case Justin pulled up short in terms of inspiration, Timbaland had organised plenty of backup.
Some of the other guests on Shock Value, which is a lot. I mean, it's Dr. Dre, the Fall Out Boys, the Hives, Elton John, and of course him.
For JT, working with the man they call the Maestro was a no-brainer.
When I heard about everybody that was going to be, you know, featured or contributing to the record was the first thing I thought of was Quincy Jones, you know, Back on the Block. And to me, that's what Tim is. He's a modern-day Quincy Jones, to me. And so I just, you know, but, you know, we started working together on a couple of songs here and there, and you know, I didn't even know I was going to end up, I don't even think either of us knew I was going to end up doing as much as I did on the record. That's just kind of how we work.
Shock Value ended up going platinum. The remix of the One Republic song Apologize spent a record-breaking 25 weeks in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10. Irish singer-songwriter Enya is one of very few pop artists who've managed to enjoy successful careers while preserving their privacy. Known for her reclusive lifestyle, which sees her spending much of her time in her castle in County Dublin, Enya has managed to amass an estimated fortune of around £75 million, taking her to number 95 on the Sunday Times Rich list of wealthiest Irish people. After leaving family band Clannad to launch a solo career, she contributed to several soundtracks before breaking through with her solo album Watermark in 1988. Heavily laden with synth pads and vocal effects, the album's lead single, Orinoco Flow, topped the charts in the UK and went to number 2 in Germany. Her second album, Shepherd Moon, sold 10 million copies and won her a Grammy Award. Ever since then, her music has shown up in countless films and TV shows, keeping the royalties rolling in. In 2001, her song Only Time was used as a soundtrack to many radio and TV reports about the September 11 attacks.
When I heard about CNN using the song for the footage after the 9/11, my feeling was, like everybody else in the world was, it was such a traumatic and awful event that we wanted to be in some way to be able to comfort the people in New York. And in a way I was able to do that through the music, and we felt it was important to give them hope again, that through this traumatic moment that life would in some way become normal again. So it was good to be able to help them in this way.
A self-confessed slow writer, Enya didn't release another album until late 2005. Amarantine earned her 4th Grammy Award for Best New Age Album and reached the top 10 in both the UK and the US. But Enya fans only had to wait another year for the release of an updated Amarantine with a decidedly festive flavour.
It's something I've always wanted to do, was to write a Christmas album. And it's a project I'm very much enjoying. And the first 2 original songs, one of them is called The Magic of the Night, which really kind of describes what Christmas is about. It's, you know, it's that magical moment that everybody kind of looks forward to, and it means different things to different people. So I'm trying to sort of conjure up really sort of a kind of universal kind of feeling for people.
But those hoping to get into the Christmas spirit by singing along may have found some of the Gaelic and Latin lyrics a challenge. British animated group Gorillaz can lay claim to being the most successful virtual band of all time. The combined sales of their first 2 albums, Gorillaz and Demon Days, add up to more than 15 million copies. Not bad for 4 two-dimensional musicians who've never even been on a proper tour. Noodle, 2D, Russell and Murdoch are the brainchildren of comic illustrator Jamie Hewlett and Blur frontman Damon Albarn. The idea evolved out of Damon and Jamie's mutual hatred of MTV and its vapid video clips. They decided to come up with their own cartoon band in response. The band's first single, Clint Eastwood, along with its nonsensical video, became an instant sensation, breaking through in America. The spoof band then became the subject of a mockumentary, in which a reporter attempts to track down Jamie and Damon, who'd reportedly wound up in a mental asylum. By the time they started working on the second album, they were able to recruit the services of such luminaries as Nena Cherry, De La Soul, Ike Turner, Roots Manuva and Happy Mondays singer Shaun Ryder, who helped turn the single Dare into an international smash. In 2006, Noodle, 2D, Murdoch and Russell were hitting New York, for a series of 5 tribute concerts featuring some of their star collaborators.
I love New York, yeah.
Why is that then?
Why? I don't know, it's very tall, isn't it? I like tall things, yeah. And I like the way you can be anonymous there, you know? And you can be crazy too, you know.
After opening the Grammy Awards with a live performance that also featured a hologram of Madonna, they were looking for their next big challenge.
I was thinking of designing an oil rig.
It's a lovely idea,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to get off the ground, is it, the oil rig?
No, well, they don't get off the ground, do they,
No,
Murdoch?
it's
You're
not
not that
going...
intelligent, Murdoch, for someone who likes to make scones that look like swans.
The swan's gone.
Do you know those bummers, right? It's like 8 gallons of petrol to the mile.
Really?
The big bummers, yeah, is that...
Hummers.
Oh, right, sorry.
What they actually ended up doing next was publishing a gorilla's autobiography that charted the first 7 years of the virtual band. Born in Harlem, New York in 1965, Richard Melville Hall, aka Moby, started his musical career in a hardcore punk band called the Vatican Commandos, who released an EP called Hit Squad for God in the early 1980s. He went on to score 8 UK top 40 singles as a techno act in the 1990s, before releasing the more mainstream Play in 1999, which sold more than 10 million copies worldwide. Play also claimed the distinction of being the first album ever to have all of its tracks licensed for use in movies, television shows or commercials, making it a financial success months before it became a platinum-selling album.
I think one of the reasons why my music has been licensed a lot for film and TV shows and advertisements is that it has a sort of melodic, emotional quality to it, but it also has an atmospheric quality to it as well. And this isn't something I ever think about. You know, when I'm writing a piece of music, I'm not trying to make it atmospheric, but at the same time, I love the way that music can sort of transform the environment in which it's being played. You know, if you put on a piece of atmospheric music, suddenly it makes you see the world that you're in and the room that you're in a lot differently.
Moby's eagerness to license his music was motivated by his humble beginnings. Not that becoming a multimillionaire has brought about any dramatic changes in his life. He's lived in the same small New York apartment for the last 10 years, and until recently, he was occasionally seen waiting tables at a tea shop he co-owned called TNY.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird because I've always, my entire life, seen myself as being this underground, marginal music figure. You know, I make records in my bedroom in New York, and I still make records in my bedroom in New York. So how the success of Play might have changed me as a person or as a musician, I don't know if I figured it out yet. Because I spent my whole life basically expecting people to not pay attention to me or to what I was doing. So it's a bit disconcerting to suddenly find myself in a position where people are paying attention.
He followed up Play with 18 in 2002 and another album called Hotel in 2005, for which he handed most of the singing duties over to vocalist Laura Dawn. On his 2005 European tour, he gave out CD recordings of the concert 10 minutes after it ended.
Yeah, my feeling with live performances is if you're going to put something on stage, it should be really entertaining and really interesting.
Since then, Moby has continued to push the boundaries, acting in a film, scoring a soundtrack, setting up a band called Little Death, and releasing his 2008 album last night, ahead of his 2009 release, Wait For Me. Now in her 60s and still taking to the stage in next to nothing but support hose and a neck-breaking wig, Cher is one of the music industry's greatest survivors. Born in 1946 to a mother of Cherokee Irish descent, Sherilyn LaPierre got her first break after meeting Sonny Bono in an LA coffee shop when she was just 16. They later fell in love and got married. But as they tried to break through in America as a hippie-trippy double act, they didn't get it all their own way.
We didn't look like anybody else, and people were afraid of that. You know, they were really afraid and hostile too sometimes, you know. We were getting thrown out of places and getting beaten up and just ridiculous because we looked different.
After making it in Europe, they went back to the US and starred in the popular Sonny and Cher show. On the charts, they struck gold with their single I've Got You Babe and expanded their worldwide renown with The Beat Goes On and Baby Don't Go. When the show and the marriage ended, she went it alone with the Cher show, sporting more and more outrageous costumes designed by Bob Mackie.
She can be anything, and you never lose the fact that she's Cher. We were just talking about it a few minutes ago, that you know, people say, well, Madonna changes their image. And I says, well, sometimes I can't tell if it's Madonna or not. They have to be told that it is. Everybody always knew whether it was Cher, no matter what hair color she had on, no matter what she was wearing.
Trying on as many musical styles as outrageous frocks, Cher has also had a successful career as an actress and carried off the award for Best Actress for her part in Moonstruck in 1987, wearing a suitably eye-popping Bob Mackie gown. In 2008, less than 3 years after finishing her final farewell tour, she'd had it with retirement and was ready to sign up for another 3-year stint at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas.
They came to us, and because Celine was leaving and they knew that she was leaving, and so I was still on tour. I wasn't off yet, but I knew that I was going to have such a long time, so that I thought, oh, I'm really enjoying this. I'll really enjoy to go do that, you know. So it seemed to give me enough time to recover, and then enough time to think, oh, I'm itchy, I want to go do something.
Back in 2001, English singer-songwriter Dido had a lot to thank Eminem for. The 8 Mile rapper had introduced her to the US by incorporating the first verse of her song Thank You into his #1 single Stan.
I mean, he was always very sort of you know, thankful for me because he liked the song. You know, I mean, it was sort of it was a very nice sort of mutual thing between us. I think we both just really enjoyed the song. We enjoyed performing it, and I think you know, it's all good. And of course I'm thankful to him, it's great. I mean, there's loads of things I'm thankful to throughout my years, you know, there's many people, and but he's definitely one of them.
Thank You had also been included on the soundtrack of the 1998 film Sliding Doors, helping to ensure maximum exposure for the release of Dido's debut album No Angel. It went on to become the biggest-selling album of 2001 across the globe, and sold 21 million copies. On the eve of the release of her second album in 2003, critics wondered if Life for Rent could top such an impressive debut.
I mean, it's my second album. I still feel like a beginner. You know, if this was my 7th album, I might be able to sort of be jaded and stuff, but I'm not. I just think it's exciting.
Fans who woke up at 5:30 in the morning to hear her play at the London launch weren't disappointed.
I thought it was actually very, very good. I liked the way she played old stuff and new stuff together, because I thought they'd just be playing new stuff to promote the album.
But then Dido had been singing professionally since she was 16, alongside her older brother Rollo, who's the driving force behind UK dance act Faithless. In fact, it was her vocal contributions to some of the band's early recordings that helped her score her first record contract. After her sellout world tour of 2005, she contributed to Rollo's side project Dusted by performing vocals on a few tracks and writing 3 songs on the album. She also co-wrote the Britney Spears hit I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. After taking so much time out to work on other people's projects, she was finally ready to release her 3rd album, Safe Trip Home, in November 2008. Although it attracted far less publicity and sales than her first 2 releases, she has assured fans she's hard at work on a 4th album and will back that up with a tour. Born Paul David Hewson, U2 lead singer Bono reportedly got his nickname from a hearing aid shop in downtown Dublin called Bonovox. The story goes that his bandmates reckoned that he sang so loudly that even the deaf could hear him. Upon finding out that Bono Vox actually loosely translated to good voice, he was happy to accept the nickname, and it's been Bono ever since. As well as finding chart-topping and award-winning success with Ireland's biggest-selling rock band, Bono has gone on to become one of the world's best-known performing philanthropists, agitating for global financial reform that will make poverty history and raising awareness of the AIDS pandemic in Africa.
Just, you know, to use your star power for people who have no power at all, it's got to be a good thing.
In recognition of his humanitarian work, which has included organising massive concerts for charity and launching the One campaign, he was named Time Magazine Person of the Year in 2005, alongside Microsoft tycoon Bill Gates and his wife Melinda.
Because they showed the world a whole new way to look at the poor and how to help them. It's not so much about pity, which is, you know, let's ease the suffering and throw some money at the problem, but it's more about there's injustice here, let's settle a score, let's help these people help themselves.
The same year, he and fellow rocker Bob Geldof spearheaded a campaign that created such a groundswell of public pressure that in July the world's industrialized nations agreed to double aid to poor countries by 2010, adding $50 billion a year, and alongside this, cancel poor countries' debt. While travelling with U2 on a world tour with their Vertigo stage show, he spent time in Brussels at the European Union headquarters, talking to media and politicians about what needed to be done. He also took time out to appear in Bob Geldof's compelling black and white advert, Make Poverty History. And while in the States, he dropped into lunch with Condoleezza Rice. At Kennedy Airport, he put in time to help send 6 million boxes of toys donated for African children.
Where we say, it's not acceptable to let a child die.
In 2008, the real rock and roll hero was ranked the 32nd greatest singer of all time, as well as being awarded the annual Man of Peace Award by several Nobel Peace Laureates in France. When alternative rock band Muse turned up to the prestigious Mercury Prize Awards night in 2006, they were rooting for everybody but themselves. The gong may have ended up going to the Arctic Monkeys, but it was Muse who landed the honour of being named the first act to perform at the newly reconstructed Wembley Stadium.
But it's an amazing venue, yeah. Also, great concerts taking place here as well, and it's pretty overwhelming to get the chance to be one of the first bands to play here. And hopefully, but I think it's a great venue. I really like this open top, like, and all the windows they got around the side. You know, I think it brings a lot of light in. You know, so it's a lot brighter than most stadiums, I think.
The sold-out mega gig topped off a busy 12 months for the trio from Devon, whose fourth album, Black Holes and Revelations, had gone to #1 in the UK and #9 on the US Billboard 200.
We also headlined Reading Festival. That was a huge highlight of the year because that was actually the first festival that we ever went to when we were kids. Like when we were 16 in 1994 or something, and saw, many great bands there, and it was like the first chance to see many international bands coming from Devon because they rarely play down there, but it was really monumentous. So far the year's been amazing.
After 12 years of playing together, the band, who've been described as a cross between U2 and Radiohead, were finally kicking goals on a world stage and hanging out with the homies at the MTV Awards.